Just jump.
Go.
Do you want to?
Was somebody going to start
doing like a
something?
new episode, or
Yeah.
Do we
It's a
get
clip.
it?
It should
It's
be
a
probably a standalone segment. The last one was a good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, in this episode of I'm Telling God About This podcast after show, we're going to talk about the clip of. We got to talk about a clip of JD Vance says something that is really profound. Who's got that clip? Let's key it up. Do we have it?
That's your job, man. You're the guy in the chair.
See,
the
audience doesn't
even
get to
roll.
see this.
I'm the hype man. You're the producer.
Okay,
Everybody
this is
has
what
a
it's
role.
like
Okay.
after
I'm the
hours
Jamie.
episode.
All right. Hold on. Let me go ahead and let me grab this.
See, we usually talk for about an hour at least after
How long
the
was that?
actual recording ends. So you guys are seeing what that looks like.
Right.
We're going to slowly
Right now
let you
with
peer
this-
behind the curtain.
Before we put
this
a
is an
paywall in front of
unplanned
it.
segment.
All right. Here we go. Let me share my screen, and we will do the audio here. Let me know if you can see that. Audio on. Power of it. All right. Okay, so let's see. JD Vance talked about this on an interview.
But there's this old school, and I think it's a very Christian concept, by the way, that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country, and then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. They seem to hate the citizens of their own country and care more about people outside their own borders. That is no way to run a society. And I think the profound difference that Donald Trump brings to the leadership of this country is the simple concept, America first. It doesn't mean you hate anybody else. It means that you have leadership. And President Trump has been very clear about this, that puts the interests of American citizens first. In the same way that the British Prime Minister should care about Brits and the French should care about the French, we have an American president who cares primarily about Americans, and that's a very welcome change.
What is President Xi doing? What is Vladimir Putin?
He's looking after the Chinese. Putin is looking after the Russians. They're entitled to do that. Thank God we now have an American president who's looking after the citizens of his own country.
Boom. All right, so we actually talked about a little bit about like immigration, and I think this has been a perfect clip for that episode. But
Well, he hadn't said it then.
Right. Well, that's true. He hadn't really said it then.
Did
but
you forward
honestly,
him the show schedule? Does he know,
you know,
that?
it's unfortunate because they're kind of like a group of mavericks. They do whatever they want. It's been crazy.
No, who elected them? Oh,
but okay. So here's the thing. What do you guys think about that? Do you agree with that general statement? This idea that Christians should love your family, then your neighbor, your community, your fellow citizens, and then the rest of the world. It seems to be in some aspects of even some denominations or some Christians believe that it's actually the opposite.
There's like a Bible verse about this.
Problems of the world.
Luke 10, 29
actually
to 7. But he, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" So I can see that coming out of left field. Now, obviously, there's tension. This is the tension. This is what JD's pointing out, right? Is that people would say, well, who is my neighbor? Aren't they my neighbor? But it's also about accountability, right? And that's something that's
proximity
important
as well.
Yes,
right?
but
your neighbor is not somebody that lives across the other side of the world.
Right.
Now, granted,
it's not a line of demarcation that says you can neglect everybody outside of this perimeter. It says it's good and proper to prioritize what is inside the several concentric circles with, as it happens, God in the very middle, right? So even if you knew nothing else, you would have to recognize that serving, loving, and glorifying God is the even over and above your own family, right? Jesus is really, really explicit about that fact. And then similarly, we have like explicit scriptures talking about your responsibility to provide for, care for your own family. So the idea that you would be going out and doing things at the expense of your ability to love and serve God, this is
important.
At the expense of, because we're talking about prioritization, not
for which you're accountable. This is another important thing. This isn't to Americans. Like, listen, if you're an American citizen and there's an immigrant or someone who needs your help or who needs your support, guess what? You're not off the hook, right? But here's the thing: we have each been given Like, we have authority as Americans, like we talked about before. Like, we're in a representative, democracy, a republic. We have ownership of our society. And so we're accountable for how we drive and utilize that and prioritize those efforts. Just like as a father or as a husband, I have a priority to my wife even before my children, right? And then I have a priority to my children before these other things. So, yeah, I think that's a biblically sound way to look at it. But I think the problem is the reason people get so hemmed up on this is because they're not understanding that it is nuanced and it is specifically about at what expense, like in order of how
Yes.
I take care of these things, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. And I'll just make a comment on that too. Like, it seems like when we get this backwards is when everything starts to burn and fall apart, and there's more human suffering and more human loss, and prioritizing the correct order that JD Vance is laying out. I mean, that's the swing of culture that we're seeing that's heading in the right direction, that is heading in the moral direction, that is heading in the properly centered under a holy God direction. And I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, there's a reason why we should put on the oxygen mask first and then help others.
Correct.
Right? You got to make sure that you got the structure at home. Good, but let me just go go do a comment, and then I just want 2 minutes, and I'm going to rock through a bunch of scripture references.
That it's righteously altruistic to feed random orphans before you fed your own children, and that's somehow self-sacrificial of you in a good way. And it's like, no, that's negligence.
Yeah.
No, and
pastors that
that's
burn
very
it down
true.
on the altar of ministry at the expense of their family.
Right? How often does that happen, right? So check this out. All right. So if we look at let me just go through a few references. So the idea of preferring your family, like loving your family first and taking care of your family. 1 Timothy 5:8. But if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially of those in his household, he is denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Ephesians 6:4, or Ephesians 6:1-4. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord. Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Family first, right? Then your neighbor and your community, right? Mark 12:31, where Jesus is talking about the greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength. And then he says the second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment that is greater than these. Luke 10:25-37.
Oh, let me stop you
parable
there,
of the
because everything we're talking about is just striations within the second commandment. That's all.
Yes. Sure. That's a great point, Tim. I think that, and this is going off of what Josh was saying, this idea of who is my neighbor. Jesus was talking about the Good Samaritan, right? Now, keep this in mind, right? It's the parable of the Good Samaritan in Luke 10:25-37, where Jesus expands the concept of neighbor to include beyond ethnic and national identity. But here's the point. It was a geographic thing. These people were living within the same community, and he was using the story of the Good Samaritan to say, hey, you people who are ethnically related to this person that was robbed on the side of the road weren't even being a good neighbor to this one that was not even part ethnically of your community, but lived in proximity of you. So in that sense, right, as Christians, we are not supposed to only be, faithful to our neighbor as long as they meet the ethnic, system, right? Or that, which is, I guess it's more of a thing, which is not necessarily something that is a problem today. Anyway, yeah. So
but what is a problem is people discharging their charitable obligations to unseen people far away while leaving things in their own backyard, because it's easy to look at, homelessness, vagrancy, hunger in your own backyard, and because you're aware of the context, say, oh, well, it's their own fault.
But that's just it. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. That's the thing that's been frustrating in our country, is that the people that are promoting these policies also have enough to take care of themselves. But what they're doing is they're leveraging the resources of the people who don't, the people who depend on the systems that we do have, right? Like, I can't afford private security, so I expect that, the Border Patrol is doing its job, right? The people who are living in private compounds in, LA are not worried about the border because they have people to keep everybody out of their property.
Well, and we look at what Paul is talking about, like doing good and helping everyone, but also not into the neglect of your own community, right? Like in Galatians 6:10, it says, "So then, as we have opportunity," this is very key, "as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are in the household of faith." There is a hierarchy of effort or of focus that we are called to as Christians. We're supposed to be, God, family, church, community, right? Like that is generally the structure in which is a healthy way to go. Anyway,
and
there's a ton more references that justify what he's doing, but ultimately at the end of the day, obviously, yes, God so loved the whole world that he gave his only son, right? And that there is this idea that we are supposed to go into all the world, right? And make disciples.
I'm gonna get a buzzer to electrocute you every time you put a caveat on something.
No, I'm not caveating. I'm saying yes. This the last aspect of reaching the world is in there.
We know,
but it's not the top 3.
We love the foreigners. The foreigners are our neighbors. Jesus loves the little children of the world. Okay, we get it. Everyone here should get it too. By the way, hopefully you get it.
Well, but we have to. It's crazy that we have to
say it. We don't have to say it anymore. Right? There's a new sheriff in town.
So,
all right,
that's right.
The times they are changing. All right.
I don't really care, Margaret.
Yeah. Can we put that on the thumbnail?
That was beast mode. Yes. Oh, that was
really
so good.
Margaret.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. We'll do that one. Anyway.
No, Josh, your point
all
is
right,
valid.
we'll just go ahead and just land there. And
like and subscribe.
Maybe this will be a short.
For more riveting theological evaluations of our leadership.
Yeah, if you would like more behind the curtain access, all right, we're going to need more views and we're going to need more subscriptions.
More subscribers.
And then we can actually have a paywall,
tell your friends.
right? Like then you can we'll just right now it's just a secret password to get into our Discord channel. So anyway, all right.